welcome to Monday night's Fools Rush In. As has been quoted to me just this evening, they say you learn more in defeat than you do in victory. And let's hope that is the case moving forward this season and furthermore during Jodie's tenure at SM1. The one thing we did learn, as much as League Two defences are terrified at the prospect of Charlie Austin being back in the league, the Adaloy Express is now in full steam ahead, and just watch the goals start pouring in. We've got a lot to discuss. We're going to try and keep it as light and as positive for as long as possible. And we've got a panel very capable of doing that. But before we say hello and good evening to those guys, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too. But I can't help falling in love with you.
And first of all, I'd like to say hello and good evening to a young man who was there at the game. Hello, Rich. How are you, sir?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
I am very well. Football aside, how was your weekend?
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, no, all good. Got to relax a little bit on Sunday to recover after Saturday's events. But yeah, no, it was really good. Really good day out. Obviously, a shame about some of the bits that happened before and after the game, but I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, apart from that, and obviously the result wasn't great, but good to be around my mates and have a couple of sensible drinks. So yeah.
As long as you were in the sensible drinks crowd, mate, that's all we can hope for.
Absolutely, mate.
Next up, I want to say hello and good evening to a man who actually cuts a slightly worried figure this evening because he's been given some responsibility for the end of the show. Good evening, Ben. That's an interesting choice of name you've got there.
Oh, you little sod. You've done it again, haven't you?
I've not touched it.
Oh, you little... Yeah, I'm going to change that.
That is all Ben's work, that.
That is definitely Ben's work, and then he's instantly blaming everybody else.
Sarah sent me away to go make a cup of tea seconds before we go on.
Oh, yeah,
that old chestnut, Ben. I'm sure... Evening, Danny, who's just popped up to wish everyone a good evening. Next up, can we say hello and good evening to possibly, if Tommy was pleased with his goal and I was absolutely fucking delighted, then this man must have been next level. Good evening, Ned.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hello there.
How are you, buddy? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm starting to feel more human now, and I've got some of my hearing back, so hopefully I'll be able to add a little today. Just a little. Just a touch.
Just a touch. Well, we are delighted to play any part in your recovery. Glad you could join us tonight, mate. Two more panelists for this evening. Let's not keep him waiting any longer. Good evening, young Nicholas.
Yeah, good evening, Fifey. How you doing?
Not bad, buddy. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to an evening of positivity from the Podsters.
We are going to try and keep it as positive as possible, aren't we?
Yep. Well, I see our friend Liam's already come on saying we must have learnt a lot on Saturday. Pity his team can't learn not to concede goals in a 90-plus minute. Evening, Liam. There's a positive for you.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm sure Ben's already got on his notes for tonight. The positives are other results went for us, so I can't wait for him to pull that one up.
Yeah.
Next, please stand to attention for Royal Woody Bassett himself. Good evening, Woody.
Good evening. I'm going to jump on the Adaloy thing on the opposite and say if Shade was fit, he would have definitely come on and scored two. So Adaloy still underperformed. Yeah, so it's all good. I'm buzzing for the amount of positivity that's going to reek out of us all tonight. Well, hopefully so anyway.
Can positivity reek out of somebody?
It is tonight.
First of all, I have to apologise to you, gents. I know how much you've all been enjoying the big question bit at the start of the shows of late, but nobody has asked me any food-related stuff in the last few days, so I don't have one for you. Sorry.
Well.
So if anyone watching wants to ask a completely nonsensical question for us to debate over, you're more than welcome. But other than that,
surely Paddy's got one.
Well, Liam has taken a screenshot of Ben with "Morris is a failure, SL back, please," and posted it on Twitter already.
To be fair, he already is back. We dominated possession apparently, and we didn't have many shots on goals, so he never left.
Oh wow, this is going to be a.
It's your cat.
The cat's just jumped into the door frame.
It's the door frame.
Oh, I wish I'd seen that.
So
again, I'd like to thank everybody for the podcast nominations.
So he's climbed up. He's climbed up on this sofa. He's gone to jump up to walk in front of the screen again. I've just turned around and looked at him, and he's just changed his trajectory midair and just jumped into the door frame.
Oh,
Fucking hell. Wow. Okay. Liam says if positivity can reek out, then Ben must absolutely stink. Mike wants to know who eats the worst food. Now, is that in terms of worst from a dietary perspective? Oh, who eats the most? Sorry, most. Oh, well, me, obviously. That goes without question.
I think there's a few candidates, Fifey.
Let's start then by looking at the weekend action. It was defeat for Jody in his first game in charge. Obviously, we will come across various negative aspects of this, but I wanted to start as best as I could. I put a tweet out and out on our Facebook as well, asking people from their perspective, what positives can we take away from the defeat at the weekend? Obviously, there was a lot of humorous ones. You know, only an hour from home, back in time for the rugby. Ben even put, we won't have to play on a pitch that's built for rugby anymore. That kind of thing. But there were some genuine responses. And let's go through them. Rich, I'll come to you first, because one of the most common ones I got was Blake Tracy equals immense.
Yeah, he's different gravy. He can play anywhere as well, which is really, really good. Obviously, he's obviously been playing centre half for us, left centre half, and a left back. And I think just the good thing about Blake Tracy is you just see his vision of the game is just absolutely fantastic. Obviously, when he receives the ball, obviously he can drive through the midfield and obviously start the attack. In terms of obviously defending and reading the game, he's just absolutely excellent at that. And you can see why he was playing in League One. And obviously it's a bit of a shame for him that obviously whatever happened at Burton, whether or not he fell out with whoever was in charge and stuff like that. But can I just say that I'm absolutely grateful to have him at our club and actually get him on a permanent deal as well, because I just think that is such a coup of a signing. And hopefully he can stay fit and obviously lead us to at least the playoffs. Fingers crossed, because like I say, that is a top signing, that, and to be able to get that over the line is fantastic. And he deserves it as well, because he's been probably our most consistent defender the whole season. I mean, you were singing his praises from like third or fourth game of the season, Fifey, and saying we were like, never fall in love with a lone player again.
Never fall in love with a lone player.
Never lone player. We don't have to fall in love with a lone player again, because we've got him on a permanent. So happy days with that. But no, genuinely though, I think he's absolutely top notch, and it's great to see him having consistent games for us.
While I've got you talking, Rich, we've had a question submitted via a social medium that isn't available on the live chat, so I can't flash it up. But it just says, question for Rich, and this links into a story you were just telling us off camera. Did you manage to not drop your pint for a second time?
Nice one, Joe. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, no, I have no idea what the hell happened. But literally, my hand, my pint, literally just slipped out my hand and almost went all over Joe. So thankfully, I don't think it did. But I apologise anyway, Joe. And yeah,
it was sent to me. It's all right, Rich, because it was sent with lots of laughing faces.
Oh, that's all right then. Yeah, no, thankfully not. But yeah, the amount of times that I do that, it's just, yeah, I do that quite a lot.
We will come back to it a bit for your views on the game as a whole. I just want to go through a few more of these positives if I can. So, Nick, let me come to you. Rich mentioned what a signing FBT is. Another regular mention to my question was Kaji. On his debut, looked a very good player.
Apparently so. Unfortunately, I didn't see the game, so it's only from the reports that I've read. But I think one of the other positives is hopefully the club have finally learnt, do not put not Adeloy.
We're coming on to him, Nick. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, you've got him in my brain now. Iandolo is left back. Get Blake Tracy at left back, and we look a far better balanced side. But the big positive for me was Clayton got minutes on the pitch, and that's going to make such a difference at the centre of that defence. So yeah, the young kiddie coming on him. I mean, he must be rated to throw him straight into the team. And from the reports, yeah, Kaji sound pretty decent. So, but I can't really comment too much because I didn't see the game.
No, that's fine. Ben, one of the next positives that was mentioned links into actually what Nick was saying. You guys are doing very well of linking the points together for me. With regards to changes made and tactical alterations, got a couple of references to Jody making changes to the team, reacting to what was going on and trying to genuinely influence the result.
Well, yeah, I think the first half, even though we still managed to get to 0-0, it still wasn't. He still thought he could get more out of the squad, so he changed things about to try and influence the game. Didn't work, but yeah, at least he's trying new things and different ways to win the game rather than just try and see out a 0-0. I do generally think that, because I hate to say this, but it was Ian Dollo losing his man for the first goal. So, if we were better with injuries, even with 10, and we had a left back playing, we may have nicked a point. But he did try and influence the game in different ways, but it's his first game, so it was good.
From a coaching perspective, Woody, I got a couple of mentions regarding style of play. It looked like, particularly at the start when it was 11v11, we were trying to be a bit quicker, a bit more direct, maybe a bit more dynamic. Do you think that that's something we can expect from Morris going forward? That's going to be how he wants to play?
Yeah, I mean, he's been very, and I know I picked this up. He's been quite cautious in some of his interviews in terms of what the fans can expect. I mean, obviously, we know that probably Lindsay's biggest downfall, as we've mentioned many times on this, was that he promised us this, quick attack in progressive football. Morris has been very careful. So whether it's he's kind of analysed what he's actually got on the table before he's made any promises. He obviously wants to see what systems he can implement. I agree with what Ben said. He kind of it looked like he had a little bit of let's try something different. He's going to try Ellis at left back again because he's a left-footed player. So I kind of almost expected that to happen. So yeah, and did he? I mean, he didn't. He admitted he didn't bring Adeloy on to bang in the goals. He brought Adeloy on to to rest Charlie Austin and stop him from getting a yellow card, because it sounded like it was going that way. But absolutely fair play to Adeloy on that aspect, and fair play to Morris for, I guess, giving him a chance more than anything. But yeah, I think we will. I still think that even though we're all really excited, and me probably more than most, I still think we don't really understand how much of a good coach we've actually got in play now. We're talking about somebody who's got, as I said before, winning pedigree, somebody who's worked with some of the best players. He's worked with players that graced the World Cup stage in December. It's so I'm not going to say he's going to turn Swindon into World Cup overnight, but it's going to help, and I think that is a big element as well in terms of the man down. Obviously, no coach will ever prepare to have a player sent off after 15 minutes. So in some ways, against Newport, I'm not saying a Lindsay side, I'm just going to say a Swindon side would have got absolutely dicked against Newport, if we go one man down. And it just felt that, like, even with, I mean, I was only able to listen to it and see little clips of it here and there, but it felt like we weren't going to get beat massively at any stage. I generally thought that if we could have nicked a goal before half time, I think we would have gone on to win the game. But as Newport grow into it, they do play better football than they used to, but they are still a little bit of a shithouse team. They know how to win games. That's how Hepburn Murphy got sent off in the first place. So it's but he'll work them. Not every manager wins their first game in charge, and in fact, sometimes it's probably good that they don't, because he knows what he needs to work on. Because if he had won the first game in charge, it doesn't give him anything to work with, and he'll end up playing the same squad that could then go out and lose the following week. And as we do with all, I think Wellens got smashed in his first game in charge. If we use an recent example, yeah. So, but no, I think he'll bring an attacking style of football. I hope he's going to give them a couple of formations in their bank that we can switch to. I have to admit, I don't know what the formation was when Hepburn Murphy got sent off. I don't know what he switched. Did he switch it around at all during the second half?
3 times during the game.
Yeah. So he's got that in his locker, and he's already communicated that well.
It was obviously a trial and error as well when you go down to 10 men, so you've got to do something to stop them obviously attacking, and that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to counter and get us on the counter attack and stuff like that. Just going back to your point there about obviously Morris losing his first game, exactly what I was going to say, Woody, and I think when managers win or head coaches win their first 3 or 4 games, obviously called the honeymoon period, and then it's just all downhill from that. At least Jody was trying to try something and, not sticking to plan A or just a random plan. He had something in place to try and get us back into that game. And he almost did. Obviously, like you say, Adeloy wasn't brought on to stop the goal, score the goal maybe, but he did it. He did his job to as a striker to score the goal, and we almost got back into that game, which was obviously a bit disappointing in the end. But
and I think if we look at the new City lad as well, Kaji.
Kaji.
If we look at him, fair play to Dean McKaylee. He came out and said that was Jody had an input into that. So already he's brought in a player that we're all excited about, even though we've only seen 90 minutes for him, and it's that goes to show he's gone. I like this player. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to put him straight in the starting lineup. I never would have expected him to start on Saturday. So it was quite a surprise that he did, and evidently it sounds like he was one of our best players. So I think I'm still gutted we lost. I think I still think it would have been. I think we needed to win the game more than Jody did, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But 2-1 is not a horrible result when you're down to 10 men after 15 minutes. So it's as long as we pick it up ready for whoever we got this weekend, as long as we pick it up and have an improvement and hopefully get 3 points, then job done for Jody. Just needs to improve the last result.
Absolutely. Ned, there was a 5th positive that we kept getting messaged about, but I'm not really into cruel and unusual punishments, so I will I will let you have this one off for a moment, and I'll take it because Adelaide scored. And as was pointed out off camera, he seems to have a habit of doing it against Newport, if everyone remembers the behind closed doors game as well. I mean, honestly, like, really, it was really weird for me getting a few tweets, DMs, and like WhatsApp messages saying, "Fifey, you must be buzzing." And all I kept thinking was, imagine how he must feel. Like, it's like that. Hopefully, that is the start now. And if he is, understandably, he is down the pecking order. Charlie Austin is number one striker. You've got the likes of Jeff Cotton-Wakeling there. But if he can keep a place in Morris's thoughts, if he comes off the bench, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made a career out of scoring off the bench. If he becomes Swindon's substitute that can score goals, I think fans will start to like him. But I mean, I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing for the lad. I think like there was no celebration because he knew what it meant in terms of the game. But I'm sure if you were to ask, like if we ever got the chance to ask him, he would have been buzzing just to get that goal. I know we were talking off camera. Rich, you said you were buzzing for him to get the goal. Nick, I know you said similar. Ben as well. When you all logged on and I was chanting his name and and we all did, so we all started chanting when Ned came on. But I was buzzing for him. It did make me smile that people were messaging me because he'd scored, and I very much do appreciate it. But yeah, absolutely buzzing that he got his goal, and hopefully it's the first of at least 9 more, so that we can do some sort of live dancing on a Fools Rush In episode. Ned, what I will do for you is we've been sent a big food-related question for today. I will let you go first, so that you don't have to discuss Adeloy. I just got to scroll back up through the comments. It's a big one. It's a controversial one. I'm sure it's going to split the panel, and it is pineapple on pizza.
Oh,
I mean,
no. I hate pineapple. I hate pineapple, so there's no way I'll put it on my pizza.
No?
No chance on this planet is pineapple going anywhere near pizza in this house, let alone my house.
Rich, you seem to instantly gag as soon as you saw the question on the screen. Are you a no as well?
Yeah, same energy as Ned. Yeah, nowhere near for me.
Ben, I think you were saying no also. Ben, I'm guessing you're probably muted.
No, you should get arrested and shot.
Right. Okay. Woody, I answered it actually in the chat. I put 100% for me. You look like you were nodding in agreement. Pineapple does belong on a pizza.
On every single fucking pizza. Pineapple. It's whatever you're topping, it's got to have pineapple on it. People that don't like pineapple on pizza are the people that like sweet corn.
Yes, absolutely.
Sweet corn pizza is good. I like sweet corn.
No, there you go. That tells you everything you need to know.
No, I don't like sweet corn either.
I like sweet corn. You can have it on a pizza. You can have it with chicken. You can.
No, sweet corn has no place in my house. I'm going to go on record as saying,
even though you look like one at the moment.
even on a like create your own pizza, I still put pineapple on it.
Oh, Jesus.
So, Nick.
What is it with you guys? Mini eggs? Pineapple? What's wrong with you?
Nick, you've got a big say here, Nick. Are you on Team Fifey and Woody, or are you on Team Sweet Corn?
I'll have lobster. Thank you very much. Wagyu steak.
Morrissey ordering pizza. I have lobster on my steak tonight.
Right, shut up. Pizza is not my favourite food. It's probably one of my least favourite foods, to be honest. But yes, I would have pineapple on pizza. But if it's a choice of what to have pineapple with cheese. That is the business.
Yes, that's why it belongs on a pizza.
Yeah,
this is why you don't like pizza.
A square of cheese, a bit of pineapple with a cocktail stick, big plate full of that, Lovely.
You're
Lovely
probably
stuff.
one of the kind of ones that has the cheese and pineapple hedgehog or whatever it is.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, Rich,
100%,
hang on,
yeah.
Peter cheese and pineapple
Yeah.
hedgehog.
I used to
Oh.
have literally.
In
I
fact,
don't know.
I've walked
when
out of weddings because they haven't had it.
Fair shout,
Yeah.
Woody. Fair
When
shout.
honestly, I used to work with these people, and they were like, we used to have like party food in the office and stuff like that, and they were like, because I don't like pineapple anyway, and they were like, Rich, are you gonna get the pineapple and cheese hedgehog? And I'm like, fucking no chance.
Oh, Rich.
Oh,
I love
no.
how
Best
a
ever.
football podcast can cause such food related debate in amongst panelists and viewers alike. Let's get back onto matters at hand. I'm sure. Please let us know. A pineapple on a pizza, and evidently the sweet corn debate is going to rumble on as well now. There's so many comments I need to read here. Hang on.
The only way to eat sweet corn is in a sweet corn fritter. Apart from that, forget it.
Oh man, no sweet corn. I'd be quite happy for no sweet corn in anything ever.
It's the devil's food.
I love sweet corn.
There's something worrying about you can eat something and yet it comes out of you looking in exactly its same form. I just don't understand it.
That's a good point.
Anyway,
Rich,
while I catch up on the comments in the chat and start flashing a few more up on the screen, let's go back to Saturday's game then. From a fan's perspective, start by telling us, we've heard plenty about some of the, should we say, the darker side of our fans, but tell us genuinely what was the atmosphere like, etc.
It was a little bit dull, I gotta say. It wasn't like we were singing for 90 minutes, but I don't know, maybe it was the sending off after 15 minutes that probably, didn't help either. But, I think a lot of people probably, and I think it was mentioned on OSC earlier, that just absolutely drank so much and just didn't enjoy the game. And it's no way. I mean, like I say, I had a few drinks on Saturday, and honestly, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a good game. Obviously not from a result point of view, but it was just one of those ones really. And if you get yourself into such a state as to where you can't enjoy the game, or you're not really paying attention to the game or watching the game, then but yeah, no, there wasn't much atmosphere, and I think a few fans obviously let themselves down from that point of view. And I think I don't know whether or not the attendance. I mean, we obviously still brought 1,000 with us, but obviously I think Newport were not very transparent on the amount of. All I see now is people pointing and pointing and pointing. I can't really concentrate.
It's all right. I'm only highlighting the food chat ones at the minute. I'm going back to the football ones.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think because there was a lot of empty seats next to where I was standing, almost a good block. And we could have probably fit another 200. I've seen guys. Oh, for fuck's sake. But yeah, it was a shame. I think the scenes post match, they were worse though. The throwing of the chairs in the middle of Newport town centre. There's absolutely no place for that. I mean. Just physical nature.
I love that Rich is trying to read and talk at the same time now.
I'm not. I'm actually not.
I'm just pointing at every comment now. So no, it puts Rich
up. Yeah, no, I thought they were sick scenes, and there's no room for it. There's absolutely no room for it at all. I just, it's shocking, really.
Woody, this is a good point Steve makes here. Is discipline a concern? I believe we've, 2 reds in the last 2 games, we know. And I think, did we say it's 8 for the season?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is a concern, but I do think if we looked, I haven't looked across all the teams, but I seem to remember there's been quite a lot of sending offs this season. So I think we're in that kind of transition at the moment between what rules are coming into play. You can touch a player in a certain area, but you can't touch him in other areas. But it's kind of exactly, and I think a whole lot of the kind of like last man ruling. I don't think there's consistency with the refs on some of the fouls, to be totally honest. So, and I think there's always been a low discipline in League Two because you've kind of got irritated older footballers, or you've got the young immature footballers. So it's there's not many happy mediums. So I think I'm not too. I think is our discipline an issue? I mean, if we look, Harry McCurdy was the disciplinary one at the beginning of the season. Then we got Rushland, who obviously overreacted. I don't think it. I don't. I'd have to look at compared to the rest of the league, but I seem to recall looking through. I think there's been a lot of sending offs in general this season.
Our two biggest problems have been
the refs. The refs obviously don't help in this league either. I think obviously some of the decision making can obviously. There you go. I think they can obviously have a massive negative impact, especially when there's a more than fair challenge, or if there's an absolute ridiculous decision given. You can sort of understand that starts to infuriate some of the players, like just let the game flow sort of thing.
I think there is a lot of an element of I don't want to insult referees because they've got a bloody hard job to do, but it's
they do.
There's an element of kind of hiding behind cards as well now, in terms of I've found that this season that I've watched that it goes one way or the other. A player could get booked for only the second time they've had a go at the referee, and it kind of, you look at like when Harry McCurdy got sent off, allegedly what he actually said wasn't that bad. And I know people will turn around and say players shouldn't be saying things like this, but I don't think we're ever going to change that regardless. And I think this season's probably showing that. Do you know what I mean? This season is probably showing that you're going to have gobby players and things like that. And for me, the best referees are the ones that manage to manage the game without getting their cards out. The ones that earn that instant respect. And I just generally think that if you're too quick to get your cards out, sometimes I think you lose respect to the player straight away. And sometimes it can irritate more because you get the fans on the back. You want that player with a second booking. So you just start to wind them up more. And I think that happens a lot in League Two, to be honest. Probably we don't have
McCurdy anymore, so there's no real excuse really from that point of view. But yeah, no, you're always going to get them, and it's obviously what happened with Murphy was obviously frustrating. But yeah, it was a red card, and obviously discipline. Nah.
So while we're on that subject, then let's carry on from there, Ben. I'll bring you in at this point. As Sean's, so we've already had a few people saying that for them they don't think it was a red. Sean's saying here Newport's players' challenge was shocking. He should have gone. Lino was also criticised second goal offside ? We'll come on to the second goal in a minute. Arch here saying RHM shouldn't have reacted, but they should have been booked for the foul on him. Literally lifted his leg till he did a head cartwheel. So we've all seen the clips now. And it is a difficult one, I think. I'm not sure if you agree, Ben. When it comes to these sort of things, we always say the player shouldn't have reacted. And the thing is, it's human nature. And I imagine you've seen the pictures as well from the after effects. It's human nature to defend yourself. But that when you're in that sort of position in terms of that's your profession, you kind of have to you've got to try and take the emotion out of it almost. You've got a responsibility to your teammates as well. And he's given the ref the opportunity, hasn't he?
Well, I think, yeah, in a way you're right, because I think if you want to look at it bluntly, you said, well, you've given the ref an option to choose. But I think if we think back a little bit to the build-up of it, the penalty shout that he could have well had, that didn't go his way, and he probably thinks he should have had a penalty. And then there's a little bit of goading from their players as well. And then he gets put on his arse, then put over someone's head, and then a big gouge taken out of his leg. And then he's surrounded by a load of fans giving him shit behind him, a load of Newport players in his face. And then he just went. I think he pushed out, which is human nature, really. So you don't want to blame him too much. He would be one cool customer if he just walked away from that. you know, he deserves super credit. But I think even the Newport manager said it's a harsh red. So it is what it is. I think the referee couldn't wait to get his card out. Once he saw that Newport player look like he'd been shot in the face, rolling about on the floor, then I think he couldn't wait to get his card out. But when I first saw it initially, I thought, oh, he's gone here. But obviously seeing it after a couple of times, I think the linesman could have helped the ref out a little bit. And I think a few yellow cards might have been brandished to the other team as well for the whole incident. But I think Hepburn Money hopefully can take this and learn from it going forward.
Ned, I know different people will view football in different ways. I saw a few comments like this one on social media. Sorry, let me click the right one. Hepburn Murphy cost us the win last week and cost us a chance at points this week also. For me, I don't agree. First of all, I don't agree in scapegoating, first and foremost. As we've said before, you can have opinions on players, but I don't think you can blame one player for the team not getting what you want. And equally, when you look at the game specifically, I know it's had an effect, obviously, because we've ended up playing so long with fewer players. But at the time, it's 0-0. We've still got a structure, and we can play to defend the point if we want to. It's not his fault specifically that we've lost that game.
So I completely agreed with you until you said about that game. I mean, it's a massive factor. Let's be completely honest. It's a massive factor. But yeah, it is pretty harsh. To for example, the chance you went through. To be fair, the keeper's done really well in that previous game. He's stayed up big and he's made a good save to his left. I mean, I think fair play to the keeper rather than blaming Morphy Richards. I mean, I just think it should be like he should have used. I think in the game you should use aggression, but it's controlled aggression, and he just lost control. And as a professional footballer, you can't do that. So, but it's harsh to blame him for the last one, but missing a goal and getting sent off for a stupid petulant thing. I think you can. I think you can with that one, I'm afraid. Especially as it's so bloody early in the game. It's only 15 minutes we had with 11 players, wasn't it? 16 minutes. Am I right to just say something about Newport as well? Is that right?
Please.
Oh, right. He's shaking his head. I just want to say as well, Charsley for Newport was an absolute monster. I mean, he was unbelievable. And to be fair, he played well for Port Vale last season against us. I mean, that's the kind of player that we've missed, in my opinion. That player who puts in 110% effort. He might not be the person who scores all the goals. He might not be the person who puts that dynamic cross through, but someone who covers so much ground, puts in 110%, puts in all the tackles. That's the kind of player that we've missed this season. I think Charsley was the key for them in their victory. I didn't rate Newport at all. I think they got lucky. I think we probably should have got something from the game, if not won the game, because I think we played really well with 10 men. I think we made them look incredibly ordinary. But yeah, I just wanted to say Kaji as well. Massive shout out. I haven't done a shout out in a while. What a wonderful performance for his first game. Massive respect. But
absolutely,
as you said before, he hasn't had long with the players, and his entire game plan went out the window after 15 minutes. So fair play to Jody Morris for organising the team and making us look like we had the same amount of players with them out on pitch.
Steve there saying that HB's absence gives Tommy a chance against Donny. Let's talk about the concession of the goals then. I think it was already mentioned, Iandolo losing his man for the first one. And, Rich, me and you spoke off stream again, and we weren't particularly full of praise for the level of defending in the second goal.
Oh.
Even the youngsters struggling with technology now, look. Unbelievable.
We're saying about Blaine. I know Rich is frozen at the moment, so I'll just quickly go back onto that again, if that's okay.
Yeah, go on.
There was one of, is it
There we go.
Brandon, who put out a clip of, Iandolo's 60 minutes or whatever it was. Was it just the first half? But I mean, there's absolutely no need to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We're fans. We should be supporting. I think everyone's got their opinion, and well, he's not playing well, or he's not very good, or whatever. I mean, that's absolutely fine. Everyone's entitled to that. But to clip and send it to everyone, I think that was
harsh.
Yeah, that's pretty bad form. That's the way to give a player confidence, isn't it? Just fucking hell. Imagine someone clipping all of our horror, our errors on this show. I mean, it'll be hours long for a start.
Mr. Arnold.
Rich, I believe you're back with us. I wanted to bring you in on the defending for the 2 goals.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the second goal, you could call it bad defending, which it was from our point of view, but you gotta say it was very, very clever play from the Newport striker, and he took that incredibly well. I gotta say, I was actually quite impressed with that. He literally just sent I think it was Clayton, wasn't it?
No dummy.
Yeah, he literally just sent Clayton into bloody Rosette. Like, honestly, it was great little bit of play. And those are the kind of goals that I actually quite like. Like, if you've got the confidence, and that striker, he's only 18 years old, so to have the confidence to be able to just bring your defender in and then literally just turn him and then go on and score, I thought it was very clever play. From a defending point of view, yeah, absolutely shocking. But I think also at that point, really we're obviously a little bit higher up the pitch. We're obviously trying to score an equaliser. So, but it doesn't, forgive the terrible defending it was from us. We need to, I think, where that striker was just to stay on our feet. I mean, no matter how quick he was and things like that, we just got to stay on his feet. And I think that was the disappointing thing from our point of view. But I gotta say, I like the goal, so fair enough.
A couple of points being made here, Nick, and as someone who's seen a fair amount of the games this season, people suggesting Ellis seems to have become a lot of people's scapegoats. Is that a fair assessment of the situation? And how do we, other than his performances instantly turning around, how do we avoid it becoming worse for him than it is?
To be honest, you probably don't with some Swindon fans. They love nothing more than having a go at our own players for some reason. I think in some ways we've got some of the best fans out. We get really good crowds at home, but some of our fans are just totally out of order. There's obviously a lot been going on through a lot of games. Yeah, I've been critical of Ellis, and he hasn't played well. He shouldn't be played at left back. It's not his position. He gets caught out of position. Fair play, but he got the goal because he was pushed up further up the left wing and knocked a great cross in. And to me, if you're going to play him, you play him left midfield because he has got a bit of strength about him. He can knock a decent ball in, but you watch him play left back and he loses his man in his position in his poor. So if he's played there, to me, he will always struggle. But to have our so-called fans just getting on one player's back all the time. And they seem, you've seen it over a long period of time. They have to have somebody to slag off. And it's been like that for as long as I can remember, sadly. I hope Ellis comes through it, and I hope he plays well and is a key part of the team going forward, because he has been really, really good for us at times, but he's in a bit of a patch of bad, poor form, and it happens to all players. I say it hasn't helped that he hasn't been playing in his natural position. So hopefully Jody Morris can, smooth out what's going wrong, whether he rests him, whether he, uses him sparingly or gives him a decent run in the side. So, yeah, for the service he's given us, and I know you can say, well, that don't count for anything because that's the past. We're looking forward. But to me, he doesn't deserve the criticism he's getting. And I agree with Ned, for someone to put out a 15-minute video of issues in a game, that's not on. You could equally put out a 15-minute video of good stuff that he's done. So it's just poor form.
No, absolutely. Woody, with Ben evidently going on tea duty, I will bring this question back to you. Nick mentioned Jody again there. I was listening to his post-match comments just before we came on, and every time he was asked about different errors or stuff that happened in the game, he did comment on it. But he said for him, it was all about what we did on the ball, and he wasn't happy with what we did in possession, even at a man down. And I think, kind of linking into the first question I asked you at the start of the episode, that's evidently in his philosophy of what he's going to try and do, isn't it? It's not about what other teams do. Yes, we need to deal with that, but it's about us doing what we do.
Yeah, and dare I say, it's kind of a philosophy that I follow a little bit, kind of thing. The best form of defense is being in possession, best form of defense is scoring goals yourself, but then followed by being in possession. And the thing is when you're out of possession, you could work tactically all day long on how to shift, how to transition, how to do this. If you can't get the basic one-on-ones right, then you're going to lose the ball anyway. Which is why I actually think that, first of all, the guy who made the video about Yandelo, fucking grow up, you sad cunt. But the other thing is like he's just got way too much time on his hands. If you look at pretty much every goal we've conceded, somebody has not done their job defensively. Fraser Blake Tracy has been at fault for a lot of goals this season. I think if you have a look back at some of our, especially those far post headers and things like that we've conceded. So that's just basic one-on-one stuff. We know Yandelo isn't a left back. He is by trade technically, but he's also not the only one that makes these mistakes. So I try not to get. Yes, he's hit very bad form at the moment, and me and Craig have said it several times. That players are in an entertainment industry; they will get criticised. When it gets to the stage of what that idiot did by sharing that video of low lights, that's just stupid. That's borderline bullying, in my opinion. So, there's a bit of a difference between criticising the player because he's down in form, or even if you don't like a player. I generally don't have an issue if people don't like Ellis. There are people that just don't rate him. That's fair enough. But yeah, going back to with Jody, he will bring in possession football. That's how he's built. That's how he did with all his Chelsea youth teams. If you look at the coaches he's been under in terms of Frank Lampard, all possession-based coaches. So hopefully, there we go. That's another good point. I actually forgot about Hutton as well, to be honest. But so I just think that if you think back to Nick will remember the days, Ben will remember the days, Ned will remember the days, kind of like the Aussie Ardealers and all of that kind of days where it was.
Someone's put me in the young bracket where I won't remember something. Thank you.
Where the idea was to just outscore. The aim of the game is to outscore. So if we can see 3 because we can't defend for shit but score 5, I don't give a shit. If anything, that's given us 8 goals in a game, so it's entertaining. So I would much rather watch a coach try to develop a team going forward than setting up to avoid defeat. And we haven't got the players to set up to avoid defeat. As much as we love FPT, as much as we've got the likes of Clayton, etc., they are very good, but they're not good enough to be keeping clean sheets for the next 20 odd games. So let's focus on what we're doing going forward with that absolute wealth of talent that we've got going forward. I don't care what anybody says. We've got a lot of talent going forward. I'd rather Jody Morris focused on doing that. That's all he needs to do for the rest of this season. He's got 6 months or whatever, 6 months to just go, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try and get out of this league. We're going to try and get promoted. We're going to play attacking football because you don't score goals by sitting on your own halfway line. So unless you're David Beckham. So, we might as well just, switch the focus up to the other end of the pitch and just accept that maybe we're not going to be that great defensively, but not many teams are, to be totally honest.
No, and with Clem and Sandro's model, goals are money, aren't they? So that's the way to look at it, I guess.
While we're doing what we seem to do best at Fools Rush In and calling out our own fans for doing shit wrong generally, it was never acceptable, obviously, but in a day and age where we're trying to promote equality, just us alone, we're talking about women's football. We have guest female panelists on. You've seen a lot of stuff at all the clubs for her game too. It's really sad to see. I saw 2 different female fans commenting on social media that they left the game early because of comments being made by male supporters about why their opinions don't matter just because they're women. And again, there's just no place for it. In my mind, when I get to talk to people, I'm in a very fortunate position that I get to do this and I get to host this twice a week generally. But even outside of this, with people that I have just casual conversation with, whether it's on social media or by WhatsApp, etc., it doesn't matter whether they're male or female. Fans who have genuine opinion and can articulate it well, I don't care what their gender is. I just like to have the conversation with them. So and it makes me feel really both sad and angry to read that 2 supporters left the game early because they were made to feel that way. And I'm not going to get into a massive debate about it because it's been widely spoken about already. We know at Fools Rush In that what we're trying to do, obviously Woody and Rich, big spearheads for how we try to promote women's football generally, but female fans should feel as welcome at football as male fans all of the time. And if they're leaving games early because of comments being made by, again, supporters of the same club that they're supporting, it's just fucking ridiculous to me. I just don't understand it. And I'll be honest, I just do not understand it. And that's all I really want to say on that one. Would anyone else like to comment on the game before we move on to the next topic? Anything anyone wants to add? Lovely. Okay. We've got one last comment here from AC. We got also FBT was one of the best defenders stats wise at left back. Common sense equals sign a centre back or 2 and getting back to left back. Oh, we've had this chat with Ben. Needed a centre back on the 1st of Jan, then Angus Mack replacement. Sandro failed. Before we talk women's football, because there is a lot to talk about from this weekend in women's football, I haven't mentioned our good friend Paddy yet, who tweeted in almost half an hour ago, but it was another big food-related question, so I had to find a place to fit it in. Rich, I'm going to start with you this time. Okay. Paddy says, good evening, comrades. Heard a plea for a food-related question, lol. Are we all curry lovers? And if so, what strength? Mild or old school hot, hot, hot? It's a vindaloo for him. So go on then, Rich.
Madras.
Give us your Madras.
Yeah, Madras heat is probably, I think, the curry where you can actually still taste your curry, but you get that nice burning feeling as well, and that's what I like. I do like a lot of my food hot. Do like it spicy or hot, but I think when I'm having a curry, I think a Madras is probably like the perfect sort of temperature for me.
Okay, Nick?
No, hate curry. Never.
It doesn't surprise. Do you know what? It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't like pizza. Doesn't like curry. No,
That's because Nick has been in the fortunate position of having his dinner made for him every night.
Which is very true. That is an
He
actual
has
fact.
good, wholesome, home cooked foods.
Yep. Every time.
Ned,
So,
curry fan?
Oh yeah, massive curry fan. Surprisingly enough, however, I'm not one of the heat people. I've got to be honest. I think my favourite curry personally is a Balti. I do love a Balti when there's a little bit of spice there, but nothing too overpowering.
Still respectable.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich. Thank you.
Someone said the K word.
Let's ask Woody next. Where are you on the curry scale?
I do love a curry. I like most curries, to be fair. I used to be really like au fait, really good with kind of hot curries, but I've kind of got really bad in my old age. So
yes, because you're really old.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to be the kind that like go in and say, "Give us your hottest foul," and I'll do it. And yeah, I'm not like that anymore. I'm actually a bit of a pussy now, to be totally honest. I'm a bit with Rich now. I don't always look for, how hot it is. I tend to look at the flavors now, and I'm a big coconut lover. Here we go, sweet inside savory again.
I'm on the
So
korma.
I do.
Oh,
No. I don't like
Sanda.
korma. That's korma's devil's food. I like a chicken tikka Ceylon, which is it's got a bit of spice in it with a nice little touch of coconut on it. But yeah,
What's that? Colon?
Vindaloo Ceylon, CE.
Yeah, Ceylon, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
There's a bit of colon in now.
yeah, colon, a little bit of colon. But yeah, we talk about homemade though. We talk about Nick and his homemade foods. I do cook quite a decent curry from scratch, not even from a jar. So
maybe you should make it for Nick.
I'll make it for Nick.
I wouldn't want you to waste good food on me.
But all time on a takeaway Ceylon. Any other time really a jalfrezi. I like a jalfrezi. It's a decent bit of spice.
Ben, curry in your house popular?
Yeah, it is quite boring though. Jack doesn't eat curry. Sarah only has a korma. I like a masala, so it's I'm quite plain really, but it's just all good. I like a lamb masala or something like that. It's just I just gobble it up. Lovely, thank you.
So here's where I go cards on the table. I hadn't had a curry until maybe 5 years ago.
That was the same as me, actually.
Never had a curry.
Yeah, but Rich, 5 years ago, I was older than you are now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, true. Fair point.
So it was never that big in my family growing up. We were much more sort of fish and chips, that kind of thing. First time I went to an actual curry house was about 5 years ago, as part of a Christmas party with our martial arts school. And I was really like, I had to do that thing that I never do and like look at the menu before going somewhere because I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm not great. I'll be honest. I'm not great with hot stuff. But I knew this is the sort of reputation people got if they just had a korma. So the first couple of curries I had was a lamb dansak because it read as a sweet and sour curry. And I was like, well, if I'm at a Chinese, which is my go-to takeaway, sweet and sour all the way.
Love a dansak.
However, Rich, where did I see you the other week?
Oh yeah, Biblob.
I'll be honest. I had my first ever lamb korma while I was there, and that was delicious, absolutely delicious. So I will certainly have that again. Quick fire question. Paddy's tweeted in, well said, mate. Agree 100% on the subject you just touched on. I'm presuming that was one of our rants about the fans, possibly about women's football, and not my affection to korma. Joe's asking, so we'll do a quick straw poll, starting with you again, Rich. Half and half of your curry, chips and rice?
Rice. No, don't go. If I was having it at home, I might have a few chips because I'd like to dip my chips in the sauce, like sort of thing. But necessarily, I'd probably go just traditional rice and curry.
I do just have to wonder if Arch is one of the luckiest guys in the world, because after Joe admitted the other day to not having roast potatoes on a roast dinner, she's now also not having naan bread with a curry either.
Oh,
You know what? I never used to, but recently enough, I've had a peshwari naan, which is obviously the coconut one, which is really, really good.
Woody's getting very hungry.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm a big fan of coconut. Yeah,
I had a
like
curry.
that.
I had a takeaway at the weekend, Rich. You just bring about memories. The only problem is a takeaway curry is the morning after normally.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Woody, chips and rice, naan breads. What you going? What you having?
For a homemade, for a homemade one, not chips. If I get it from there's something about Indian chips, they're really nice. Not Indian people chips, just chips made in an Indian. But yeah, mushroom rice with chips is lovely.
Oh no, not mushroom.
oh yes.
Oh, mushrooms.
Mushroom
rice,
rice,
oh,
everyone.
Pilau.
That deserves that. Mushrooms belong in the same bin as sweet corn.
Oh,
Yeah,
wrong with the people.
I'm agreed on that one.
Oh, I love
No
mushroom.
point. No
They're
point
they're such
asking
fun,
Nick.
guys.
No, I'll just have the chips.
Just a chip.
Mistake.
Ben, naan breads, chips, rice. What's going
I'll
on?
have keema naan and keema rice because I love meat, and poppadoms and mango chutney.
Okay.
I'll
Ned?
have a chicken boona, lamb boona, prawn boona, mushroom rice, bag of chips, keema naan, and 9 poppadoms.
Ned? Can I take your
Pretty
order?
hungry. It's got to be a round of poppadoms before, poppadoms during as well. Don't forget.
I'm not big on poppadoms.
No chips. You got to have mushroom rice, mushroom fried rice every single time. And then also I'll have a cheese naan as well because they are lovely.
Why?
In the words of Mark,
Nice one.
very saucy.
Very saucy.
The only time you'd have chips and rice is
World buffet.
no, Chinese curry with chips and rice. That works.
Yeah,
That
that
100% works, but not with an Indian.
Get back to the football in a minute.
Yeah, people won't let us. They love the food chat, apparently. One of the things I love about doing Fools is there are certain viewers and contributors who we really get an insight into their life while we're doing this. So I mentioned about we found that Joe doesn't have roast potatoes on a roast dinner, etc. Arch, the discussion's gone on in the chat, so I'll just flash this up in the order they appeared. So Arch responded to me, I was probably 5, I'm now 44. And then he said that he loved the place that Rich was referring to. Joe then pipes up, Arch is a lucky man, he gets all my extras. And then he just replies, I am proper punching, luckiest bloke alive. Nick, we've had a question in for you, given that the curry chat wasn't up on your level. The fans want to know, chip shop curry sauce, Nick?
Never.
Nah.
No,
not for me either.
never.
Look how annoyed Ned is.
No.
Look how annoyed Ned is.
Nick, do you have tartar sauce on your chip fish?
No.
No, I'm with you on that one, Nick. I don't like tartar.
Yeah, the two shrooms nasty experience.
Shall we get back to the football? And I'd like to move on to Swindon Town women, if I may, because it was one hell of a weekend for the women's teams. That is for sure. And I hope I've got this right. I've used the ticker and everything to try and remind myself of certain things. So we'll start with the first team who travelled to Bournemouth, and a late Annie Constant equaliser got them a 1-1 draw. Congratulations to the first team. The development side made it 6 in a row unbeaten with a 2-1 win at home to, damn, the ticker's not quick enough, Portsmouth?
Portsmouth.
Off the top of my head?
Yeah, where's Portsmouth?
And then a couple of weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to have Grace Kazia appear at the start of the Falls episode. We had a good half hour or so's chat with her. And it really brought a smile to my face when I saw the tweet from the women's page saying that the under-18s had qualified for the semi-final of the League Cup, I believe it was. And she saved the 5th penalty, Woody.
Yeah, buzzing for her. I saw it come up myself straight on the phone to Michelle. Well, I say straight on the phone later on that day, straight on the phone. Buzzing. I mean, obviously Grace would have been because Grace was in goal for the County Cup final, County Cup semi-final against Warminster. And she would be gutted that she unfortunately couldn't do much about that. Absolutely buzzing for the team in general. I think the actual game was 1-1. I don't know why the club didn't tweet that for some reason, but obviously it went to penalty shootout. Grace saved, the penalty that needed to be done, and that's going to do a world of good. We saw how confident she was when she came on, fair play to her. On the other ones as well, a 1-1 draw away to Bournemouth is a cracking result. When you think that Bournemouth, despite us beating them, are still up there, and then, like I say. Since I've left, the development have won every single game. So, I
wasn't going to say that, Woody.
That's. I'll take that.
You set the foundation, mate.
Apparently.
Well, let's, in our quest to offer the best possible coverage of women's football in the area, let's not forget that your side also had a game this weekend, Woody, and you let out a very detailed post-match social media post about it. Late drama, should we say?
Yeah, so we played Paul, who last season got relegated from Swindon's league, and both teams hadn't picked up a win, so we went 1-0 up pretty early on, which is probably the devil for us because. I think, it was yesterday, wasn't it? Yesterday, I really started to see kind of elements that maybe the team need to be a bit fitter and stuff like that. And I think as it got to kind of the 75th minute, I think they scored their equaliser. Then they scored another one about 5-10 minutes later. Quite soft goals, really. And then we had a penalty, literally in the last minute. I might send the clip round because I don't want to say that I influence referees. It's 100% a penalty, but the fact that the keeper went down and before she'd even touched our player, I said pen, and then the ref, and then the ref's given it. But then actually the original penalty was saved. So my player of the match, the lino, who said the keeper came off her line, and made it had to be retaken to have a late equaliser. So obviously it's a work in progress for Simon and I and Vanessa, Sadie and Sam. So it's not the result we wanted. We wanted a win really because we need to kind of get the points up, but it's a work in progress. That 1 point will turn into 3 points against a team we don't expect it to be against, and that Pool team are nowhere near where they should be. If I'm brutally honest, I don't know whether they had their stronger squads out yesterday compared to other games or whatever, but they should be. They're one of the better teams that Bassett have played this season, in my opinion. They were pretty much exactly the same style of players when I watched them play Swindon last year. So, but it is what it is.
Adam Lindsay is the message there. Well, congrats on getting the point, nonetheless. Because although you as you say, you were ahead and then behind, you still came from behind to get the point. But of course, very well done to all of Swindon Town's women's sides this weekend, or the weekend just gone as well. Next, we've got some admin to take care of. And it starts with a question that I was tweeted from Christian. He actually tweeted in with one of his sort of, well, it's not really a backhanded compliment. There's no need for the first bit. Apparently, we've been running low on topics since he left and not been very interesting. But so he wanted to submit a question to give us interesting stuff to talk about. The question itself, though, was fine. how? In fact, let me scroll back through to get this word for word how he asked it. But it's to do with Charlie Austin and the captain's armband. So his question is, would you rather see him free to concentrate on scoring goals instead of carrying the burden of captaincy? He went on to say, in his personal opinion, striker and goalkeeper are specialist positions which carry a lot of responsibility. Captaincy should always go to a defender or midfielder. Now, Ned, I'm going to come to you first with the Spurs shrine in the background, as Captain Fantastic Harry Kane is now the all-time goal-scoring record holder at Spurs. Does that mean strikers can't be captains?
So, Fifey, can I just point out something, what you just said? Because I got pulled up on it the other week.
Ooh.
Kane isn't captain of Spurs.
Oh, Lloris is, isn't he?
Yeah. Kane's captain of England.
But I
said the same the other week.
Did I actually say he was captain of Spurs?
You implied it.
Yeah,
it was implied.
Yeah. Sorry.
That is an awful recovery, Fifey.
Yeah.
That is such an awful recovery. Oh, I'm going to talk about the Spurs behind you, Ned. Then we're going to refer to Harry Kane. But I'm not implying that he's a captain.
It's a very good point. Okay, England captain Harry Kane is now Spurs all-time goal-scoring record holder. Ned, because he is Spurs all-time record goal scorer, does that mean he would do better for England if he wasn't captain, and therefore Charlie Austin shouldn't wear the armband for Swindon either?
Oh wow! I mean, I can't link the two together.
Well, I just did majestically.
I know, but Charlie Austin is by far and away the most experienced player that we've got. So that's the reason why he's our captain. He's the most influential on the pitch. I personally would always go for a, like the person who sits in front of the defence or, behind the midfield to have the captaincy role, just because they've got a good view of what's going on in all facets of the pitch. But there's no rhyme or reason. It's just, for me, it's whoever's the most influential and the most experienced should always carry the captaincy band. I don't think it should specifically be like a position, or shouldn't be positioned. But Charlie Austin for us is by far and away the most influential player on the pitch. I mean, like when I sat next to Woody, you could hear him, geeing everyone up and organising and lifting players back up, and it's a no-brainer for him. But I'm not even sure what the question is anymore.
Would you prefer someone else to be captain instead of Charlie Austin?
No.
Okay, Rich.
On one hand, I'd usually agree. I would usually say that probably a defender is probably more suited for the captaincy role. But again, like Ned said, I think when you've got an experienced head like Charlie Austin, and if you go to the game and watch, what was his first game back? Grimsby.
Yeah.
The command, how he was talking to every single player, helping them, picking them up. He might be at the other end of the pitch, but that doesn't stop him from having an influence on all the other players and getting them up the pitch. So I think in the circumstance that we're in, where we don't have a lot of experienced heads, I think to have a leader who's not only going to be scoring goals at the end of the pitch, but also leading from the front as well. And, I do think in that perspective, and in this sort of the way that we are at the moment, I think that is the perfect choice. I think Joe mentioned someone, Blake Tracy. Now, I think he will probably be our captain next season.
Okay. Any particular reason?
I I do think he shows some leadership skills, but I think we need him to currently do the job that he's absolutely perfecting at the moment, you know. And I'd want him to solely focus on that. Whereas you've got Charlie Austin, who's an experienced head. He has been captain as well before. So for him to come down a couple of leagues and lead us hopefully into many more victories. And to be fair, Charlie Austin could be a coach, to be fair, as well. And he is practically coaching them. He is coaching the younger players. And I feel as if that's sort of been his role ever since he's come into back into the club. So, I do think he will be captain for the rest of this season. And do I think that obviously when Morris comes to the end of the season, and then at the start of the season he'll have to rethink it. Yeah, possibly. I reckon Blake Tracy could possibly be captain.
Okay, Woody?
Ben, wake up.
I'm not with you.
Ben was asleep then.
No.
He's getting psyched up, is what he's doing.
Am I against Charlie Austin? Am I against a striker being captain? No. I agree that it needs to be your most influential player on the pitch. I don't agree with the saying it needs to be someone who can see the whole game, because especially nowadays you can see the whole game wherever you are on the pitch, and it's not about having a coach on the pitch. It's about just having a leader on the pitch. For that reason, Charlie Austin, yes, I would like him to concentrate on scoring goals. He's a natural leader anyway. So he'll get involved anyway. I'm not against him being captain. I don't think it's really going to hinder his performances. But yeah, I think when I look at, we talk about strikers being captain. Raul was a captain. Pele was a captain. But I think
Shearer.
we typically look at players that, a lot of people will say centre backs make the best captains, etc. That's not because they're a centre back and they can see the whole game. That's normally just because of the persona they bring with them as a centre back. For me, still stand by it. One of the best captains ever in the game was Roy Keane. Because of just the way that he wore the crest on his heart and all of this kind of stuff, and he was very good at getting his teammates hyped up and stuff like that. And that's what we need. And I think we naturally get that from Charlie Austin, which is probably why he's the easy option to get the armband. I don't think there's really anybody else that would stand out for me. I don't think McDonald was that player either, to be totally honest. And to the other end of the extreme, Anthony Grant wouldn't have been either. It's kind of I'm quite content with it being Austin based on his experience, based on the fact he has an influence. But I don't think there's a lot, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't do this. Jody Morris, I think there's a lot of influence on having a leadership group now in clubs rather than having just a captain. You tend to have have your leadership group, such as probably FBT, probably Johnny Williams, Charlie Austin, who, yes, Charlie Austin wears the band, but there's a responsibility in every area of the field for them to pick each player up. And I prefer that model. I'd get rid of captains if I could, personally in the game, because I'd rather have a team of players within that team who are kind of your senior leaders type thing. Not even have to be senior, just your natural leaders in each position. Because most players are coached well enough now to be telling the coach if something doesn't look right to them. So yeah, it's not against it. I don't think it's going to massively influence his game this season, though.
Ben?
I've got no reason why strikers can't be captains. Really, to me all. I think it's just the best man for the job gets it. I don't mind what position he is, really. I think we've had good goalkeepers that have been decent captains as well at the time. I think Charlie is the best candidate at the moment because a lot of players look up to him. He's the player that's been there and does that. You can see him on the pitch. I think at the Grimsby game where he was basically directing everything, he was talking to all the players, giving them encouragement. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. And behind him, very close, is Blake Tracy. But they're the only two candidates in my mind who could actually do the job.
Okay. Nick?
I agree with a lot of what Woody said. I don't think it matters, to be honest. I can't remember what manager said it was. He said the only thing a captain does is calls heads or tails when the referee flips the coin. So I don't think it matters at all. It is down to the individual if you are going to go down the captain route, and centre halves seem to be more likely to be a captain if you go back from Stan Ireland, Colin Calderwood, Gordon Greer. You know, they were leaders in their own right, and they happen to be centre halves. But to me, I'm again on board with Woody. You've got a leadership group with those 3 experienced players. He said they will dictate what happens on the pitch. So yeah, if you can capable of calling heads or tails, you can be a captain.
No, absolutely. Some other news to discuss. Rich, I'll come to you first. Is the breaking news tweet that went out today from the Trust, confirming that the deposit had been paid, contracts had been exchanged, and they're hopeful of completion sometime potentially in March.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's a historic day really for the football club. Really, you know, I think it's something that probably a lot more of the generation that went through was able to watch the 90s in terms of obviously the playoffs against Sunderland and Leicester. All those kind of people that are probably even more buzzing, thinking that this would never happen, like sort of thing like that. In terms of my lifetime, I think obviously I've heard these things, like, but it's never really been a priority until now. I know there was a lot of talk about it under Lead Power and all that kind of stuff. I know it's been very close to happening under a few owners, but it seems as if now that we've got a great structure in terms of with Clem at the helm, obviously, hopefully, like sort of being able to provide funds for this to even be possible. But obviously the Nigel Eady Trust that was very generously left in his will to be for the investment for the football club. And I just think it's absolutely fantastic to even be at this stage that we're currently at now. I mean, talking about like the developments of the county ground, it's so overdue. And now the fact that possibly we are literally one step away from that actually becoming true, and the plans that are able to go into that for those to, you know, plans to obviously come to fruition. And you know, we were talking off air, and I was able to go to Bristol City Stadium the other week, which was the first time I've been there in 8 years since they were doing the renovation to the back stand.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, if we get anything like as to what they've got, honestly, I'll be absolutely buzzing. Like, it is absolutely fantastic. There's no queue to get a drink when you go into the stand. They've got about 10 food vendors outside their one of their stands. Really good food. They've got several drink bars outside as well. It's like a proper like sort of culture and stuff like that. So you know, I'm hoping that we can get something like that, because I think it looks fantastic, and that will be a hub for us, and that will attract a lot more fans. And you know, I'm absolutely buzzing. And the fact that the fans get a piece of it as well is just the cherry on top, really. And you know, I think it's something that we can all be proud of, and hopefully the completion can be announced maybe early March. So, you know, as I think it would be a very special day, not just for the fans, but especially for us.
Yes, indeed. Nick, anything you'd like to add to that? You're muted, Nick.
You're on mute.
Yeah, absolutely agree 100% what Rich has just said. Hopefully, I'm sure the club have got it in mind. These things take a few weeks once sort of contracts have been signed, and early March is we'll be celebrating League Cup victory. So that would be a lovely time to have it confirmed. So yeah, let's hope it's around that period, and everybody could be absolutely buzzing for lots of reasons then.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted to say as well, the comment that Sean just made a few moments ago.
Yep.
I was going to say, I reckon we should rename the town end. He said Stratton Bank, but I think the town end we should name after him. I've got to be honest.
Well, we've got it's the Alan McLaughlin town end, isn't it? So.
Oh yes.
So
I would just get rid of the town end bit.
I personally.
What, call it
I
would
name
the ground.
I would name the ground after him.
Yeah.
The Nigel Eady County Ground, or whatever you want to call it. The Nigel, because was it a QPR? They did somebody one of the kids that passed away.
It's something Prince, isn't it?
Something Prince Stadium. So why can't we do that? The Nigel Eady Stadium or something like that. I think that would be absolutely fantastic, considering he has been the self sort of person that's been able to
paying for it.
He's practically paid for us to have the county ground, and I think what a way. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are saying that they're thinking of ways how we can sort of like dedicate this to Nigel Eady in some way or another. But I think there's many suggestions, and I think anybody would be. I think for Nigel Eady's family as well. I think that would be absolutely fantastic, sentimental. Either naming the ground after them, naming a stand after them, or something. Something will happen. I know they're already.
Something will definitely happen.
Something will happen, and I'm looking forward to hearing what will happen, because I think it would be just an amazing dedication for him.
I'm also interested, on a completely different note, in the currently active game of who's going to fall asleep first between Woody in one corner and Ben in the other.
I was very close a few minutes ago, but I've got my second.
I know. I periodically have to say your name, Rich, just to keep you engaged. One other thing.
Ben's doing the quiz next, so.
Joe wants to put a quick comment in, so here you go. Can I just say, through all of this, the ground purchase, the captaincy, etc., I still can't get past Ned with so much luscious hair.
Yes.
Oh my god! Yeah, I need to go to a barber's of some description.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Ned Boleyn.
Ned Boleyn. Oh god.
One other bit of admin. It's not Fool's' usual practice to do shameless self-promotion. But in for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. The Real EFL have open nominations for Best of League 1 and 2 awards, and apparently some people have very kindly already nominated us in the League 2 category for podcasts. So if that is you already, thank you very much. We honestly, it's caught us a little bit by surprise, but we're very appreciative, and we thank you very much for doing so. If you're unaware of this being a thing, you are now, and we would very much appreciate it if you could carry on nominating us, because now we've been nominated, it would be great to make at least the long list, if not the short list of possible winners. So thank you very much if you already have, and if you've got no one else to nominate, we'd appreciate you nominating us. Of course, there's lots of other great Swindon Town content that could also be nominated if you wanted to do the likes of Low Strangers, To Others, Junior Autism. But we would appreciate if a few of you could spare us a nomination. That would be very, very kind indeed. Now, we've reached that point in the day where I normally say, Mike's given me a quiz. Are you all looking forward to this? But he hasn't given me a quiz this time. What he's actually done is he's given Ben a quiz, because for whatever the topic is, Ben isn't allowed to play. However, Ben, I know you are a little bit worried about hosting this. So is Sarah still there, and would you prefer her to do it on your behalf?
No, I'm going to have a crack at it, and if it all goes tits, then she could be my lady at arms. But I think
Come on, Sarah.
I'm okay with it.
Before you do, though, we've just had a question come in, and it's not normally our place to discuss things so high up the footballing ladder. But as it's been asked, Rich, let's start with you. What's your thoughts on the Man City situation, and are you looking forward to playing them next season?
Can't wait. Can't wait to see Erling Haaland put 25 goals past us in one game. So, no, I think, whatever happens. But I personally think they're just going to get a slap on the wrist and a fine. They always seem to get themselves out of it. They were in similar issues a couple of years ago for breaking financial fair play. And they were able to take that to the Court of Arbitration, and they got that overturned. So, obviously, I don't think, from what I read earlier, they can't do that this time. But still, money talks at the end of the day. And they're not going to get demoted. They can't. They're not going to. It's not going to happen. So, they might get a small points deduction, but nothing massive. And again, like I say, money talks. So,
and even if they do get a points deduction, that'll be held off till next season, just so this year's title race stays interesting.
Yeah. Well, one would hope anyway. But also, even with the fine that they'll probably get anyway, it won't even touch the sides of Sheikh Mansour's wallet. So, it is what it is. But
Okay.
I can't get too much into it. But it'd be funny how things would play out, though.
Ned?
Burn them all. That was my response in the on Twitter. But well, yeah, as Rich said, money talks, doesn't it? Which is why we got sent down and they won't. 100%. I got nothing else to say. It infuriates me.
Nick?
I haven't read much about it, to be honest.
Well, they've had, I believe it's 100 charges of financial irregularity.
Yeah, I've just read I saw the headline, but I guess all teams are treated equally, but some are more equal than others.
I think that's exactly it. Ben?
Yeah.
Well said, Nick, really, about the teams being equal. I'd love consistency. And if there was going to be consistency, then I look forward to watching Man City in League Two next season with about 2 or 3 transfer embargoes. But there's not going to be consistency. They may get a year's transfer embargo slapped on them. But yeah,
so you're telling me we're going to be higher than Man City next season?
Well, I think if they went for consistency and if they did things honourably, but yeah, no, I don't think Man City will get sent down, demoted. I think they'll get a transfer embargo and the suspended points sentence.
Okay,
that's what I reckon.
Woody?
One deduction.
Yeah, I think as well that we got to remember that it's 115 charges. As it stands, none of them have actually been proven. So it's the
Man
worst,
City could be innocent in all this.
They could be.
Could be.
What will happen? I agree. I think they might possibly. They'll definitely get a transfer embargo. I think whatever comes out of it.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea got one a while ago as well, didn't they? Was it Lampard's first season?
That really did them damage in the long run, didn't it? Yeah. What was it, Rich? £650 million this
Yeah. So,
indeed.
And I think. Special.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, Marge. Yes, mate. Best analogy ever.
I think there's, as much as it pains me to say it, because obviously we got affected, but there's a massive difference between what we got done for and what they're being looked at for. The times have changed since then. They'll also look at the Premier League will have a big say on this. It won't just be the FA, it'll be the Premier League. They won't want to lose their prize possession. So they'll counteract that with, look what they've done off the pitch. Regardless of what you say about Man City, they've invested very well off the pitch as well. Their foundation's brilliant. The way they treat their women's team is one of the best in the country. Their training facilities, the stuff they do abroad. I think Craig mentioned it in our chat earlier that, similar to United, how United suddenly always have money even though they're always in debt. it all comes from kind of around the globe. And the Etihad group, is it the Etihad? No, not the Etihad, Emirates group of teams, isn't it? All, is it Melbourne? Is it Melbourne in Australia?
Yeah,
and I think they got them kind of all over the world. So
Dubai, all over.
Yeah, exactly. The worst that will happen, they'll get a transfer embargo. They might potentially get a points deduction. But yeah, we can't compare it to us, what happened to us on consistency, because the times have changed massively since then. And the final reason they went not too much will be done, because I would put my imaginary house on it that the other clubs are just as guilty, but just not as much money. So it will mean they'd have to open an investigation into so many other clubs, Newcastle as well being one of them. Newcastle, even Liverpool, Chelsea's new regime. It would just all open a whole lot of paperwork.
Everything Chelsea are doing is perfectly legal.
But they could kick those top 6 out to Woody, then they could have their European Super League.
yeah.
That is
they
very
could.
true. Actually,
they could do that. They could, yeah. But yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I think it's a bit of a hyped story from the media at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out they've been charged for 10 of those 115 charges, because it turns out that the £400 million they spent that year was actually perfectly legal, because they sold 400 shirts.
I remember also, if you look at just off a completely different topic, but like Ivan Toney, for example, who's been done for all those breaches, for betting breaches.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. I think he's only.
That's it, Nick. You worry about our place in the legal system.
I think he's only going to be getting a fine. I don't think he's going to be getting much. I think the most he'll probably get is a few games suspended. But I don't
it'd be like a half season max suspension if he's found guilty. But then if a referee does that, he loses his license and can't referee ever again.
Exactly.
So it goes to show you, in the entertainment industry, it's about what the prize possessions are going to do.
I hope that answers your question. Was it Toby that asked?
Yes.
Ben, are you all psyched and ready to go now for quiz time? I mean, he's so psyched.
I see Sarah.
Nice to see you. Nice.
So
Nice.
it's important to say, whatever this is. So Mike hasn't given me any indication what this quiz is. He asked me to remind him all of the names of all of the regular panelists. And then all the message I got is Ben's the only one who can't play. He'll have to host.
No, and I'll explain why I can't play in a second when I explain the rules to part one.
Go on then, Ben.
Part one of this. Right. Okay. So we all have first names and we all have second names, yeah? Now
good start.
We all
I also have a middle name.
All the rest of you 5 all have the same initials as a Swindon Town player, current or past.
Okay.
The only person that doesn't among our 6 is moi, because there's no Swindon Town player with the initials BN. But they are.
Plenty of BS.
BS.
Fife, don't put him off.
I'm a hostess with the mostess right here. I've got the lovely Debbie McGee next to me. Cracking on.
Oh, she'll love that.
I used to fancy Debbie McGee when I was little, actually.
When he was little.
Yeah, sorry, Nick.
How old are you, Ben?
I'm 42.
What the fuck? Get off.
But anyway, so the first part, actually. So think of a Swindon Town player with the same initials as yourself.
I already know.
So Richard's got one.
Yeah.
Can you see them?
This should be a lot easier than it is.
Come on then, Richard.
Rich, who's your player?
Rory Fallon.
Well done.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got one.
Go on, Nick.
Nicky Summerby.
Good lad.
Hey.
What name you going under, Ned?
Well, I gave him his proper name.
Yeah,
proper
name.
PM.
So it's called PM.
I can't think of the PM.
There's quite a few, actually.
Did Sam Foley play?
Oh, come on, Ned. Even I can think of one.
I'm too busy thinking of other people's. I've already got one for Woody.
Wrexham.
I've got one for you. Yeah, I'm thinking of a certain player that's playing right now for a Hollywood team.
Oh yeah.
Wrexham.
Oh yeah, you got a
Come
nice.
on, Ned.
Oh, Paul Mullin. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, Mullen.
Yes. Yes. Cheers, Nick.
Well, Woody's would be Adam Willis.
Oh, do you know what? I was thinking, I swear there's a player called Adam.
I mean, surely yours is Andy Williams, Woody.
Oh, now they're all fucking coming out, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember Adam Willis, centre back, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a centre back. Oh, fuck.
AD Whitbread.
You're not supposed to give him the answers.
Wow.
Or AD Williams.
I'll just take any of them. That's fine.
Yeah, name one, please. It's important that you name one.
Oh,
AD Whitbread.
AD Whitbread.
don't know who he is.
No,
Debbie!
shut up.
That's enough off your lip then, Debbie McGee.
Is that the end of the game? Then?
You done yours, Fifey?
No, not yet.
Oh,
Oh, yours is easy, Fifey. Jesus.
Fucking where would it get you free for
Have
you?
a think, mate. Have a think.
There's
on,
only
mate.
one.
There's also, I wasn't even thinking of that one, but there was
Oh,
another one
Fluffy
as
not
well.
thought one yet.
No.
Right.
Why am I struggling with my own initials?
Walking
I-
along, singing a
Singing
song.
a song.
Walking in a Wonderland.
Wonderland.
Scored lots of
Fifey,
goals.
man.
Or
Plain Alice.
if I was small, Scottish, and liked Celtic,
Oh, Simon Ferry.
Steve, how did you not get Steve Finney?
It's a bit before my time, so that wouldn't register with me.
Simon Ferry.
could have had Steve.
Okay, so we've all got one, Ben. What comes next?
Right. Okay. So the next one is the rate. Now we've all got to work out appearances for Swindon Town, and we've got to have a rating between the most appearances at the top to the least amount of appearances at the bottom.
what? So
Hang on, this is a good point. Before we do anything, yeah, everyone that's still watching, let us know any Swindon players with your initials.
Yes, get that done.
Right, so we've got to decide between us which of our players has had the most to least appearances.
Yes, and then we can come and Debbie and I can confirm.
Right, let's put them in the chat.
Debbie,
Right, so
Mullin.
Paul Mullin wasn't here very long, so he'll
Yeah,
be
he-
down near the bottom.
Yeah, he probably only had about.
Whereas
maybe-
Simon Ferry was here a while.
Yeah, 3 or 4 seasons. So he probably played about.
Who did you say, Nick?
Nicky Summerby.
Oh,
But
he
I-
was the most. He
I
had to
dunno,
be, he had
'cause
to be the
he-
most.
He got there young, wasn't it? Then he went to Man
Did he?
City, didn't he? So
I'm
I
Yeah,
sure.
but
don't
did he
know
not
how
come
many
back?
Eddie
seasons.
Whitbread.
He did come back. Though.
Yeah, but he only, didn't he come back for one game?
He did come back for one game in the mid noughties.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the season we went relegated, he came
Yeah,
back.
he played
turned
one
up
game when he come back.
completely
So
out of shape. I watched him in that.
he would have played a fair
For
few,
sure,
but I
correct.
don't think it'd be the most.
He was completely out of
But
shape.
do you think he played more than Ferry, for example?
No.
Rich,
Oh.
whose is yours?
Rory Fallon.
See,
he
he
was
was
there
here
for
a couple
about
of
3.
seasons, but
Yeah,
he
3
Yeah.
seasons.
spent a lot of time as like second choice striker, didn't he?
Yeah.
So Mullin's got to be at the bottom, and then
I'm going to say
what was
Ferry
his name?
played more than Fallon.
Yeah, definitely.
About Whitbread.
Which one did you go for, Woody? Whitbread?
Whitbread was only here for one season. We got rid of him for Joey Beecham, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We did.
So,
Oh, so maybe he was.
I mean,
What
he
a
might be
transfer
last
that was.
then.
Do you reckon he
Yeah.
played more games
So,
than Mullin?
Whitbread, Mullin,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I reckon Mullin
Fallon.
less than Whitbread.
We're including sub appearances as well in this.
Summerby
Oh, for fuck's
and
sake!
Ferry top.
So
Are you going? So we're going Ferry, Summerby, Fallon, Mullin, Whitbread.
Whitbread. Yeah.
I reckon
Yeah,
Whitbread
that's
and
about right.
Mullin swap round.
You want to swap Whitbread and Mullin?
we think Whitbread, 94? We wouldn't have had a very good cup run. So,
Munning was more than one season, wasn't he?
No, one.
Was
I
that
think it
all?
was just one
They
year,
didn't-
yeah.
They didn't play.
But did he not play like every game?
No.
He didn't play.
Come on,
every
his
game.
subbing scored 4 against Pompey.
No, that was Collins.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, of course it was. Sorry.
Yeah.
Start again.
Cut that.
Right.
Right,
Okay, so
what's your list?
So we'll go Ferry.
Yeah, that's Simon
Summerby.
Ferry. What for estimation? How many games do you think he played?
Oh,
Who? Ferry?
Fucking hell.
Ferry.
He's
I reckon
he's comfortably
Ferry played about
nearly
240, I reckon.
No,
No, actually, no, that's
150.
probably a bit
No.
too much.
No, he's not. It's not
150
Yeah.
maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, sorry, mine.
120.
yeah, 100 plus.
100 plus. Definitely 100 plus. Did
Okay.
someone say 150?
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Woody said about 150, I think.
Yeah, it's 152. That's including sub appearances.
Okay,
Ooh.
so Summerby, Nick, did he hit 100?
I reckon
Nick
he hit
Zombie.
130.
There.
Right.
So we'll go
Games-
Summerby second.
Yeah, Summerby is second. Now games Summerby started was 93. How many in total?
I reckon 130.
No, I, don't,
Well, no,
I
he
think if
wouldn't have
he
been
started
40
that
subs.
many, he wouldn't have been
No.
subbed much. So I'm going to go 112.
Yeah, I was going to say 115.
Ooh,
Yeah.
116. Unlucky.
Oh,
Good.
So then we're going Fallon.
The New Zealand master, Rory Fallon.
I have to say it, but in case he watches this back, my older brother was probably the biggest Rory Fallon fan in the history of being a fan of anybody. He literally adored the bloke. There would have been a shrine in the house if he could have done.
Well, his scissor kick volley took the piss out of Wayne Rooney's because he actually hit it with his foot
And it was from the edge of the area.
from the edge of the area. But Rooney shinned it.
What did you say you are including subs? Because he made a lot of subs.
He made a lot of sub appearances.
Now this one, there's probably a fancy word for this one because the amount of games he started, it's the same numbers, but the other way round for the games he came on a sub. Ooh, it's probably a
See,
fancy
I
word.
would have said
What did we say? How
would've
many
said he-
seasons did we say?
he was there about 2.5 years, I think. 'Cause he went to Swansea in the January window, didn't he?
I'd say he's probably around 90.
I'm good.
If you
Maybe
45
high
and
80s.
45
I'm
and
gonna-
54.
I'm going to say 87.
Yeah,
You're not far off with 87.
84?
No, you got to go down a little bit, but you're not that.
82?
Still go down a bit.
78?
78.
All down by 1
77.
Yay, that's it. He played
Equal.
43 games as starting, 43, and 34 as a sub.
Wow.
So Joe's already submitted hers, saying that Jimmy Allen, 436 appearances. And then Steve's gone, Simon Cox, 81, Scott Cuthbert, 80. So that leaves us with Whitbread and Mullin.
Yes.
So I reckon Mullen didn't get more than 40.
No, I think he was exactly 40.
I don't know. I don't think it's as high as that.
I don't
don't
think it'd be
think
as high as that.
I think he played because I think he came on for quite a few. But wait, what season was that? 2017, wasn't it?
It was Flitcroft season.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in dispute because the number that's in front of me, I know is wrong.
Yeah, because
Oh.
when I think I looked on his wiki the other.
Oh, you're questioning Mike's
So were
quiz?
you. So will you question Mike when you see this number?
Yeah, because I think he played. Because I think I saw on his Wikipedia that it was around 40, but I didn't think he played that many. Is it more than that? Is it, Ben?
Right, so I'm going to
Left.
say Mullin before Whitbread then. If we're basing it on
Wait,
Mike's
He
figures.
did score 15 goals that season. So.
No, I got the number right from his message. Thank you.
Yeah, no. I'm saying Mike got it wrong.
Oh, hold on, Debbie McGee's having a
I
go.
know.
Calm down, Debbie.
Right,
Ben,
let's go with Mullin next then.
Right, okay. It's not. It's Whitbread.
Fuck.
oh, it is Whitbread.
Really?
It's Whitbread, but I think it's wrong. But
What, you
Whitbread
think
surely
Whitbread's
didn't even get
number's
to
wrong?
40, did he? Surely he
Whitbread-
didn't get to 40.
Whitbread didn't get to 40, but he wasn't far
Didn't
off
even.
40.
38.
No.
37.
No.
36.
Higher.
36. 36.
Oh, 36.
36.
That's how it's going to be.
Higher
Now-
or lower than
So
an
Mullin got less than 36.
So Mullen
Well,
would be 28 then.
I will tell you what Mike has put down for Mullin. 6.
No, he scored. He scored 15 goals for us.
15 goals in 6 games. I don't know why we got rid of him.
15 goals in 6 games. Class. Fucking, that was a crap business decision.
Mike's also confirming here. Look, I screwed Mullins' numbers up.
How many?
Oh, dear.
Debbie, can you look up Paul? She's on the website. Can you go on to Paul Mullin?
I'm
Mrs.
doing
Vicky?
it.
Okay, she's a bit short-tempered now.
Oh, it's late.
Since Paul Daniels died,
Ben, you should have fact-checked this hours ago.
I know. I didn't look. I didn't look at the figures.
I thought I
Mullin.
was.
Just type in Paul Mullin.
So according to his Wikipedia, he played 40 games and scored 15 goals.
So we were right then.
Yeah, because I did look at it the other day.
So actually, Paul Mullin has got promoted.
It was after the Sheffield game, and I was like, hang on a minute. I want to know actually how many games and goals.
Paul Mullin played 47.
47 games in total.
Ooh,
and she's on that, that website, but that's Swindon.
SwindonTownFC.co.uk.
Yeah.
Excellent website.
Excellent.
Superb website.
So yeah, that's it. We can have another round of it if you like. Apart from Nick can't play because there's only one NS.
and me, apparently.
There's only one RF too.
No, we can't have another round unless it's just three of you. But that's the game.
Well done, Ben. Well done, Mike. And well done, Sarah, for saving the day.
And thank you, David McGee.
Wow.
I mean, you could have had Ben. You could have had Ben and Dar. You could have had
Ben and Dar.
Ben and Gessen.
Ben and Gessen. Ben and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. Yeah. Ben Noble.
Ben Noble.
Oh dear me.
Ben Doyle.
Ben Doyle.
Ben Lindsay.
Ben Lindsay. Ben Yates.
Benny and Narlis.
Ben Invincible.
Benny and Benyon.
Benny and Benyon.
Benny and Robert.
Ben Oyun Benyon.
Mike says, thanks, Sarah. Sorry.
It's Debbie.
Art Shea could have bend over. As well as saying, thank you, Sarah. Ben's pushing his luck. Ben always pushes his luck. I mean, we suggested that you were the luckiest man earlier, but really the fact that Ben's still alive would suggest that he's the luckiest man. Hashtag crayons.
Hey, I keep keeping them. Hashtag crayons. Yeah, that's good.
Crayons, he can fuck off too.
And I think that's the perfect tone with which to say thank you very much. Wait, before I do, everyone head over to Twitter because Danny's just put, if you were offended by any of the comments in tonight's podcast, please contact our friendly call centre on 0121-DO-1, where our friendly customer advisor, Ned, will be happy to take your call. And there's just 4 screens of Ned pulling faces.
Can I just do a very, very quick shout out for my wife, if that's okay?
Of course.
Okay, congratulations to my wife, who today was awarded the Volunteer of the Year for supporting mothers with perinatal mental health issues in Swindon. So well done to my wife.
Well done.
Well done,
Well done, Mrs.
Volunteer of the Year.
Well done, Mrs. Ned.
And that is a really nice place to end tonight's episode. Thank you very much for everyone who's watched and added comments and contributed, even if they contributed factually inaccurate quizzes for the first time since joining as an honorary member, as an honorary full. Thank you to Rich, Ben, Woody, Nick, Ned, and Sarah for taking time out of their evenings to appear in front of the masses this evening. And always, just thank you for watching. We'll be back on Friday to preview the weekend's action. But until then, we've been Fools Rush In. Good night.
Take my hands, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling